What's up guys, thanks for tuning in for another little video here. Today we're going to go through the benefits of eating ginger, and not in the ordinary way like you'd think, you know, as a spice or as an additive to your recipes. I've actually been doing some experimenting a little bit with ginger and eating it straight up. So I have here thumb of ginger. I pre-peeled it because it kind of goes down a little bit easier when the skin's not on there, and I've washed it as well. But and I'm actually going to give you a visual demonstration of me eating this ginger, and I'm going to try and keep a straight face while doing it. It's super potent. It's incredibly spicy, especially if you get, you know, a organic variety of ginger or a fresher source. But I actually started doing this because, you know, at some point I thought, hey, supplements can be really expensive, especially for digestive health, and ginger is super cheap, so and it's so accessible, and it's really easy to eat on a daily basis. Well, in theory, it's not, as you'll see, it's not quite as palatable as it would be in a recipe, but I'll tell you why I think it's beneficial to do it this way. So, you know, aside from, you know, being pretty good for digestion, I found that when I eat this in the morning, it really, if I'm not awake, this will wake me up. It's quite stimulating mentally, in that it's so pungent, like a chili. It can really give you the get up and go to get going in the morning, and I think in some way it interacts with the endocannabinoid system much like a chili would do. It's a CB1 agonist, I think one of the compounds in ginger, so it can actually have quite a deep influence on your physiology. And with digestive health specifically, which is why I started eating this, you know, I've looked at a few studies and I've found that, you know, in vitro, in petri dishes, ginger is actually prebiotic. What that means is that if you eat this whole piece of ginger straight up, then potentially what you could do is you could be feeding strains of bacteria like lactobacillus, like bifidobacteria, and increasing the numbers within your microbiome. And what that means is that these two strains of bacteria specifically regulate things like gut permeability, the opening and closing of the junctions in the gut, and, you know, like really help protect the passage of against pathogens and bad you know, bad bacteria and their metabolites, which can cause inflammation. So that's, you know, strengthens the gut wall potentially. And also lactobacillus and bifidobacteria are key regulators of your immune system. They produce short-chain fatty acids from eating something like ginger as a prebiotic. And in producing these short-chain fatty acids, these interact with immune cells and help your immune cells regulate inflammation and defense, and keep them modulated, so to quell excessive inflammation. They're almost like priming your immune cells so that they can act accordingly in response to pathogens and not over-exaggerate their response as well. So that's something that's quite interesting about ginger. And it's also an antimicrobial, so not only would it, you know, harness the growth of beneficial bacteria, but it can also potentially stamp out pathogenic bacteria from overgrowing, which, you know, if you have digestive issues, there is quite often either dysbiosis and imbalance in the microbiome of beneficial and pathogenic bacteria, or SIBO, or SIBO, which is the overgrowth of bacteria within the small intestine, and that can cause you know, issues with immunity and issues with gut permeability. So another potential benefit there. And, you know, possibly one of the most famous aspects of ginger is as an anti-inflammatory, and of course in vitro again, ginger has been shown to inhibit the expression of two inflammatory cytokines, which are inflammatory messengers, called TNF-alpha and interleukin-6. these two cytokines are the principal ones responsible for the opening of the gut lining to allow, you know, pathogens to come through. So by inhibiting those two cytokines, it helps regulate gut permeability, and it also downregulates the transcription factor, which causes the release of these two cytokines, which is NF-kappa B. So another really great benefit, of course, antioxidant, pretty potent antioxidant, of course, protecting the cells of the digestive system against damage, which can also cause permeability and absorption issues. So another win there for ginger. And I think it's about time I stomached this thing and gave you the download, so cheers. If anyone can eat this, I'll keep you in a straight face. Big respect to you. This is potent as hell. Cool. It doesn't get any easier. So, you know, there has been a clinical trial done with ginger for people with IBS, and it was its first of its kind as a randomized controlled trial. What it did is compared 3 groups, 1 placebo, 1 group of 1 gram of ginger, 1 group of 2 grams of ginger, supplemented over 28 days. You know, what they actually found was that ginger had the same response rate as placebo, so there was no significant difference in improvement of you know, severity of symptoms or whatnot. But interestingly, placebo group had, you know, had reported quite significantly more adverse effects to placebo. So it was like 13% adverse effects reported, you know, side effects from ginger, and about 57% from the placebo. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, that really goes to show the huge, like, psychological aspect of IBS in particular, in that a placebo could cause you know, potential side effects. But you know, the placebo was brown sugar, and sugar in IBS, not the greatest thing. This is the first trial, and it didn't back up the supposed benefits in a real-world setting, in a clinical setting of the in vitro studies. But one major point to say about this study is that it didn't have, because it was first of its kind, it didn't understand the power it needed to demonstrate a meaningful effect. So, you know, for example, the sample size was 45 patients, of which was split into 3 groups. So, of course, you know, the sample size might not have been large enough to detect a meaningful difference between ginger and placebo. So, you know, the study authors concluded that, you know, larger sample sizes are needed, and an accurate estimate of what power is needed to establish a meaningful effect. The form of ginger that was used was, I believe, not the same as whole ginger. The study said that they used 1 gram of gingerols plus 6 shogols, which are 2 of the compounds in ginger. And, you know, the difference there could be in taking just those 2 compounds, which, you know, fair enough, could be the most active compounds in there, but as opposed to whole ginger, you know, which potentially has multiple numbers more of compounds, you know, there could be a far greater effect from eating the actual whole ginger instead. There's a potential loss in taking a reductionist approach and just, you know, looking at 2 of the most principal compounds. So, you know, that could be a factor there, while there's no effect. And I say could be, because you don't know for sure. I thought I'd just throw that in there just to give you a really good idea of actual clinical evidence of ginger. But I can say myself, that I've really noticed the benefits of taking ginger myself. And you know, it's not just for the things that I've mentioned before. It's also for something like motility. You know, if you have like IBS-D, or if you have like you know, potential motility issues, ginger is also a 5-HT3 antagonist, which is a serotonin receptor, and a compound in that is antagonistic to the receptor, so it actually slows down motility. So if you're getting rid of your food too quickly and not digesting it fully, ginger could potentially help that as well. And I think that's actually been shown in mice, so in vivo. So you know, that's another potential benefit. And you know, just eating every day, potentially it's a placebo effect for me, but my digestion is pretty calm, it's pretty fluid, and I certainly think that I can attribute that to ginger. I can't say the same for everyone because we're all different, but I just wanted to see, potentially marry up the anecdotal experience with the clinical evidence and just see where it stands. So thank you very much for tuning in with me today, and there'll be more videos like this to come. Please leave any of your feedback in the comments below. Subscribe for some more of this goodness. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.